Back home, and my dad's situation was much worse than we all thought. The doctor had given him 2 months to live, and I was broken. When I tell you he was half the man he used to be, I meant that. He had lost so much weight during this time that he was unrecognizable. But with all that he was going through, he never wanted me to stop working, and I wasn't going to leave his side. So to make both of us happy, I just worked out in the hospital next to him. Wherever he went, I went. I wanted to make the most of our time together, and I really believed that he was going to fight through it like he did last time. But before I could even make a decision on where I would be going to college, my father passed away. The most supporting, loving, caring man I knew was gone, and I didn't know how to handle it. Losing him, I honestly wanted to give up on football. I didn't want to do anything, but all I could keep thinking about was his last words to me. The night before he passed, he told me he was proud of me. He was proud of how I overcame everything that I was up against, and he knew that I was going to do great things no matter where I was in life. And as much as I wanted to lay in bed and eat my life away, I just kept hearing him tell me he was proud of me. And I knew if I wasted this God-given talent, it wouldn't make him proud. So despite my mind telling me to stay in bed, I got up and I went to work. First thing on the list was looking at what offers I had in California. I had to stay close to my mom because whatever pain I was feeling, she was feeling that times 1,000,000. She had just lost her best friend, her husband, a father, someone that she had a bond with since she was a child. So with that in mind, and her being in Southern Cal, it only made sense to go to USC. The staff over at USC had actually been reaching out to me since the news came out that I was leaving Colorado to be at home with my parents. They really believed in me and were willing to put in the effort to turn me into a beast. Now, when I say this, I'm not trying to say that the other schools I attended weren't doing this, but here at USC, the training staff was on top of my weight and conditioning. Now, contrary to what y'all think, I was actually pretty fast for my size. Running a 40, I was clocked in at 4.6. And I know that sounds slow, but my game speed and change of direction is what really sold me as the starter for this team. And at practice, I was really in my bag. I was just ready to get into the regular season to prove all my doubters wrong and hopefully make my dad proud of me looking down from above. Our first game coming in ranked at number 6 was a new feeling for me, especially coming from the previous 2 schools. But my first carry, I went down for 7 yards and I wanted more. And coming into this school, I knew there were a lot of other playmakers, and honestly, they were better players than me, already locked in, and Caleb Williams was really that guy. Coming in after winning the Heisman that helped USC dominate, I was just honestly out there to be a support to him as he puts the first points on the board for our team. The next play was an option play when Caleb tossed me the ball at the perfect time, and I put my head down and ran through anybody I can for a huge gain. Coach calls a screenplay, and yet again I show my versatility as a running back and move the chains again to get us in scoring position. Next thing I know, we're on the 3rd-yard line. I walk into the end zone to get my first touchdown here at USC. Now, the crazy thing about Caleb Williams was he was a threat on the ground and in the air. Like, bro really could dot some shit if he had to, and he was proving it against Hawaii. The way he was playing in the first game was looking like he was making another Heisman run. On his shoulders alone, we managed to get all the way down to the 2-yard line where we run the option, and he actually hands me the ball to my surprise, and I'm back in for another touchdown. But then I started to see the genius in the coaching staff in bringing me here. Because honestly, behind Caleb, USC was a problem. But with the defense having to focus so much attention on Caleb, that left me wide open to become a superstar playmaker for this team. When they sent the blitz, I would be wide open and make my way down the field for a lot of yards. I mean, the defensive coordinator didn't know who to focus on. And to be fair, this team couldn't focus on both of us at the same time. By the time it was all said and done for this drive, Caleb dropped back and found me across the middle for another USC touchdown. And it didn't stop there. We were really running it up against this team, and I didn't want to be too happy about the outcome, but I couldn't help but smile. I finished the game surprisingly with a player of the game honors, rushing for 171 yards, 2 touchdowns with 49 in the air, also a receiving touchdown. Next game was against Washington State, and we were a top 5 school, and that was an amazing feeling. My first time touching the ball, I was on a screenplay where I ran for 11 yards for a first down. Further down the field, I get the ball again on 2nd and 7, where I run through a man to get us all the way down to the 2-yard line. And of course, coach gives me the ball again. The offensive line pushes everyone back 3 yards for an easy score. 2nd and 8, and I'm bouncing off multiple players to move the chains and keep the drive alive. And this is why I'm always in awe of Caleb's playing ability, because he always seems to find a dot on the field when everything looks tied up. Not only that, but my guy Mario keeps running after the catch to turn it into a 33-yard reception. The very next play on the 13-yard line, I make a few guys miss and stumble my way into the end zone for another touchdown. Not being cocky, but this is what dominance felt like, and I was enjoying every second of it. Speaking of seconds, with 5 seconds left on the clock, Caleb throws an absolute bomb to Mario for 60 yards as we put up more points on the scoreboard before half. It doesn't stop there as we come back out after the half, and I rushed for 6 yards, getting us down to the 2-yard line, where coach calls a halfback toss, and I run straight into the end zone. With the way I was running through this defense, I thought the score would be much higher than it actually was, but that didn't stop me from continuing my performance. The energy from the team was giving off, run the score up, and if they can't stop us, then put someone else on the field that could. 3rd and 2, coach gives me the ball, the hole is right up the gut, and I run through with my head down and score another one. We finally run the clock out to capture another win, where I rushed for 172 yards, recording 4 touchdowns. Going into our next game, we were ranked number 2 in the nation, and I guess they had gotten to our heads going against Boston College because they came out immediately and scored. Not only that, but they held us scoreless until the 2nd quarter. No way I was looking to take a L this early in the season, so I went out there doing what I had to do to ensure that didn't come true. Caleb comes out after that and throws a 31-yard dot to Taj, and it was looking like we were about to score before half. Next play, Caleb drops back and yet again dots up, this time to Brendan, getting us closer to scoring. Coach calls a pass play on the 5-yard line, which I'm assuming Boston wasn't ready for because Lake was wide open in the back of the end zone for another score. Now we missed a field goal, but on 3rd and 4, Caleb drops back and finds another wide open man in the end zone, and we score again. At this point, I don't know if Boston gave up or what, but the coverage was terrible. And speaking of terrible, our very next possession, we were just going to run down the clock, and the hole was too open to not take advantage of it. I tried to tell y'all I was deceivingly quick. I go off for a nasty 72-yard run for a touchdown. This was one of my biggest rushes ever, and a huge highlight with my time here at USC. And obviously we win the game after coming out shaky, and my 72-yard run not only got me player of the game honors, but it was all over ESPN for weeks. I rushed for 220 yards that game with 2 rushing touchdowns. We had a Pac-12 matchup this week against Arizona State, and I had learned my lesson from last week's game where we came out a little too comfortable. So from that moment on, I made the conscious decision to make sure I gave everything I had no matter what team we were facing. Back-to-back huge receptions from me was keeping this opening drive alive. The next play, I put my head down running up the gut for a crazy 14-yard run, and I was locked in. On 2nd and 8, I came up to the line knowing I wasn't going to run my route. Instead, I was going to get to the weak part of the coverage, and I scored the first touchdown of the game. Next time I was on the field, it was 3rd and inches, and I was looking straight into the end zone. I had tunnel vision. I found the hole quickly, and I was putting points on the board yet again. Arizona State had came out and scored, which put some pressure on us to score again before halftime. Caleb finds an open man as I come all the way across the field to try and give Marshawn a block as he goes for 29 yards. 1st and goal with seconds on the clock, Caleb connects with Marshawn again. This time he breaks a tackle and scores a touchdown of his own. Back in the game late in the 4th quarter, and Caleb decides to get some in on the ground as he breaks tackles, shows his speed, and scoots down the field for 26 yards. Unfortunately, that drive only got us 3 points as we post another win to the season. That game I rushed for 140 yards and had a rushing touchdown and passing touchdown to my name. We were finally ranked number 1 in the nation, and bruh, we were really playing like it. We come out doing numbers though, cause on a play that Caleb could have kept, he pitched it to me at the last second and I go down the field for more. Unfortunately, that drive turned into nothing, but that next play, the line opens a gap for me and I turn on the Jets as I go for 77 yards into the end zone for our first points of the game. Coming back out on the field, coach puts the ball in the air, and what was looking like a dump down, I turn into a first down. Then on the 3rd-yard line, I punch it in for another score. We were back on the field after Arizona scores, and the entire offense is thinking score. I'm running through the defense, stumbling for extra yards, and you can see the fight in the way we were playing. Another passing play from the 14-yard line, and Caleb finds the tight end who breaks a tackle to score. Crazy thing is, the level of play we were playing at would only increase as Caleb keeps the ball on an option play and shows why he won the Heisman the year before. A massive 75-yard run for a touchdown on the keeper, and we were looking unstoppable. It's the fourth quarter, and all we have to do is run out the clock, but we weren't going for it. On 4th and 2, instead of calling the punt team, coach puts the ball in the air, and on a dump down, I turn upfield to make the most of my time out there. I get the ball down to the 1-yard line where I punch it in again behind what was going to be the most dominant offensive line in USC history. We win this game convincingly as I run for 209 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. Now this next game always makes me sick anytime I think about it. Number 20 Notre Dame, and listen, looking back on the game, I'm not sure where things went wrong for us, but it did. I can't honestly put the blame on anyone, not the coaching staff, not the defense, and definitely not us on offense. This Notre Dame team was just ready for all the smoke, and we were too. Being a top 5 ranked team meant we had a target on our back, and everyone was gunning for us. On our first drive, we were really looking like the team everyone thought we were. We were number 2 in the nation for a reason, and we weren't going down easily as Caleb throws a fantastic 11-yard dot to Taj for our first score. Our defense comes out and gets a stop, and I go into kill mode. I know this team is going to take advantage of our weaknesses or our shortcomings, and I was trying to ensure we had nothing they could take advantage of. But just as I think that drive turns into nothing. Defense does their job, and we have to capitalize on that as Caleb throws me the ball for a 27-yard gain. I recognize that the Notre Dame defense is getting tired, so I break some tackles to give us another first down. Coach calls a passing play, and I get to the open part of the field for an 18-yard reception. I get called off the field. We score, but so does Notre Dame. This next option play, I break a tackle and get us closer to the 20-yard line. Now on the 20-yard line, I get the ball, break a tackle that would have been for a loss, and turn it into another first down. The very next play, Caleb looks downfield and sees nothing, so he takes off, putting us on the scoreboard again, and I'm thinking this was it. Although there was a lot of time left, I was sure our defense will hold us down and get us back on the field, and I was right. We were working from the 4-yard line, and all we had to do was run the clock out. 3rd and 4, coach calls a screen play, and Notre Dame blows that play up, and now we have to give the ball back with more than 2 minutes left. Of course, they tie the game up in 1 minute, which is nuts, and now it's on us to get into field goal position and walk out of there with a 3-point win. But on our first play, we get called back because Mario doesn't know how to let go of his assignment. 2nd and 20, Caleb throws a strike for 27 yards, which puts us back on 1st and 10. Now, Caleb took a sack on 1st down, which puts us at 2nd and 15, where I go and make a crazy catch to make it 3rd and 1. We needed 1 yard to keep our drive going, but coach calls a pass play again. Caleb targets me, and I get smacked, forcing me to drop the ball. 4th and 1, and instead of coach handing me the ball, Caleb throws a duck across the middle, and we give the ball back to Notre Dame. With 18 seconds left in the game, Notre Dame airs us out on a crazy reception. They spike the ball, bring the kicking team out, and that's how we lost our first game that season. Not only that, but to our rivals. I rushed for 147 yards that game and never saw the end zone. Coming off an L like that, I knew coach was going to kill us in practice, and he really tried to kill us. And it was great timing because not only were we facing a top 10 school in Utah, who was at number 8, but we had fallen from number 2 to number 10. I personally didn't like falling from grace like that, and I went out and tried my best to dominate this team. Like, yeah, we were ranked number 10, but in all fairness, we were a top 2 school that just had an off game, and I had to let them goofies know. On 2nd and 10 from the 35-yard line, I found the gap and I saw the end zone in front of me, and just when I thought I was going to score, I got tackled from behind. Coach let me pick up from where I ended, and of course, I walked right in the end zone, setting the tone for this game. Special team comes out and returns a punt, and I'm back on my grind. 4th and 2, I'm making sure Caleb has someone to throw the ball to as I get us a first down and some. 2nd and 4, coach puts the ball in my hands as I run for 16 yards, putting us in position to score. Unfortunately, we don't score a thing, and Utah does. The next play would shake our confidence as we run the option play, and out of nowhere, the D-back takes the ball from Caleb's pitch and scores a touchdown, tying the game up at 14. We knew we couldn't make any more mistakes like that, so with that in mind, we had to tee up. I come out, bounce to the outside, and I turn on the jets, or at least I thought I did, because I was quickly tackled seconds later. On 3rd and goal, I get lucky as I bounce off a couple of defenders to score and get us some separation in this game. Defense gets a stop, and on 3rd and 13, Caleb finds me over the middle for a tough catch to give us a first down. But after multiple attempts, coach sends out the kicking team, and at least we're not walking away with nothing. Utah puts up 7, and now we're faced with the same situation as the Notre Dame game, where we just need to run out the clock and walk out of here winning by 3. On 3rd and 8, I know I just need to get a first down, so I tunnel vision and get it. And just like that, we're back to winning. I rushed for a massive 248 yards and 3 touchdowns with the player of the game honors. With that last win, we jumped from number 10 to 7 in ranking, and we were not trying to go backwards, only for a progression from here, especially if we wanted to make a play for a national championship. Although Oregon State's record didn't show it, they were going to give us a run for our money. We put up 3 points first and then come back out, and Caleb makes a crazy play to Mario, who had come back from injury, for our first touchdown. Oregon State somehow ties the game up, and we're back in a winning drive situation. It was a Caleb and Mario show this game, because those two were literally keeping us in the game. I was just there for moral support to keep it a bean. That is until the defense forgot about me as I moved to the left side of the field, where I'm wide open for a touchdown, which ended up being the last score of the game. Another close game for us, and I somehow win player of the game with 142 yards and 17 in the air with a receiving touchdown. So going into next week, I wasn't really expecting our rank to move up, but looking at the top 25 poll, it was looking like we really couldn't lose any more games or the national title would be too far out of reach. And while I was scrolling on ESPN, I saw my name in an article, so I thought I'd take a look, and I honestly couldn't believe it, but your boy was on the Heisman watch list, bruh. I was so caught up in the wave of the season, I had no idea my name was being tossed around as a candidate. And not only that, but bruh, I was number 1 on the list as well. Let's be real, how could this not get to my head? I was too happy, and I couldn't wait to tell my pops. I really wish he was here to share this moment with me, man. Like, he believed in me all these years, making me work out, getting me off my ass when I thought my football career was over, believed in me when I wanted to transfer. Like, bro, I really had to dedicate the rest of this season to him. I really had to go crazy. Next game of the season was against Cal, and in the words of Kobe and YG the Beast, I was a different beast, same animal. My first carry, I got huge yards. Second carry, I got a tough 6 yards for a first down. Unfortunately, that's where that drive ended. Cal comes out and scores, and we had to make something shake on this drive as Caleb finds me for a 13-yard reception. Next play, back in the air, and Caleb gives me the ball, turning nothing into something yet again. We'll leave that drive with the time running out, sending us into halftime. Caleb makes a connection to get us into the red zone, where coach gives me the ball, and I put up our first touchdown of the game. The defense stalls out Cal, and we're back on the field when Caleb makes a terrible mistake and pitches me the ball even though I was on the ground. Luckily, I was able to catch him and make a tackle, but at that moment, I felt like I was in the twilight zone because there is no way Caleb made the same mistake as Shador. Defense couldn't do anything being put into that position, and now we're back in a situation where we had no business being in, especially against a team like this. So it's back to business as I make a wide open catch across the middle of the field to keep our drive alive. 3rd and 4 on a pass that I thought was intended for me. The tight end comes down with it instead, putting us on the 3-yard line when we put it back in the air, where Caleb finds me in a super tight window. I hold on to the ball for what would be the game-winning touchdown. While I was happy that we won the game, where I produced like this, you know, it would help my Heisman campaign, it wasn't good for my health. Like heart racing, getting put in dangerous throwing predicaments. While I was here for it, I don't know how long I would actually be here for it, if you understand what I'm saying. But with that win, I ran for 127 yards, a rushing and a passing touchdown. So the motto going in for this week and for the rest of the season was no more close games. With only 3 games left in the regular season, we had to make sure we were punishing these non-ranked teams and winning the games against ranked teams. It was raining here in Southern California, which honestly it never does. And that reminded me of something that my dad used to say. He used to say that rain reminds all things to grow. And I never understood that until now. To most people, rain could be controversy, struggles, or anything in life that you might be going through. Every loss is a lesson. We shouldn't go through things in life and not gain anything from it. And I know what I've been through these past 4 years might not be a lot to most of what you guys are going through, but it was painful. And on top of that, losing my dad was crushing. But through all this rain, I finally realized my growth. I realized we all go through something, and Sometimes it's needed to grow, and that's what the rain is. You can't stop the rain. All you can do is go through it and hopefully come out on the other side dry. And I knew that with this team and the position I was currently in, this was my season. And I know some of you might be going through something that feels like you'll never make it out. But just remember, everyone has their season. Everyone has their breakthrough. We just have to stay strong enough to see it. And I hate that it took me so long to see it, but here I am, walking into my season. Everything that I had worked so hard for, all the situations I put myself in, brought me to this point, and I'm grateful for it. Having this moment at this point in my life was going to ensure that I would have a great career moving forward. Although this wasn't my greatest games rushing, I still went off for 235 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. This was the turning point for me in my career for sure. And when you know it, our next game was in Colorado, where I had just transferred from. And listen, I was not interested in playing around with this team as I come out and rush for 45 yards for a touchdown. Now, the next time we were on the field is why I said I was not wanting to play around with this team, as Caleb thought he had a read, which turned into a Colorado pick 6, giving them the lead early on in this game. We had to get back on the scoreboard in a dominating fashion, so on 1st and 10, coach gives me the ball, and 25 yards later, I'm back in the end zone. Defense could not get us stopped, and it was back to the field trying to make this game close. There was no way this was going to be my return to Colorado. I could not lose to this team, and I didn't want to, as I scored another touchdown, this time from the 1-yard line. Defense gets a stop, and I know everyone is looking at me to make some plays, and I'm all in on the idea. I was hoping that they would want to lean on me, and I wasn't going to let the team down. Like, let's be honest, I'm on the top of the Heisman list for a reason, and I wanted everyone to feel that. With that being said, I get back into the end zone with 1:36 left in the game, which meant it was up to the defense to get us back on the field, and they hold us down with 2 timeouts and 43 seconds left in the game, and enter stage right Caleb Williams. 2 incredible passes that get us in position to score, and with 30 seconds left in the game, I get the ball and I ice it. Not only that, but I break USC's school record for most rushing touchdowns in the season. Yes, another close game to a team in which we should have slaughtered, but I'll take it. 216 rushing yards along with 5 touchdowns, and I had to go give Coach Prime a huge hug as he told me he's sorry about my loss, which meant a lot to me. In the polls, we had moved up 1 spot after that win, and I was still on top of the polls in the Heisman race. But back on the field, we needed to close out the regular season with a win against UCLA to keep our hopes of a shot at the national title alive. I came out with the same energy I had a few weeks ago. No close games. An 11-yard run would keep the chains moving as we hoped to score first. And late in the second quarter, I get the opportunity to strike first with a nice 21-yard run. After halftime, UCLA put up 7, and now we're down by 3. And we need to score. 2nd and 7, right up the gut is the first down marker, and I go for it. Now it's 2nd and goal, and I cut back upfield to get into the end zone, putting us up a score. After that, coach said run the clock out, but I didn't want a close game if I could help it. 38 seconds left in the game, and I was on a mission as I come so close to scoring, but I guess coach just wanted to win because he kneeled the ball to close out the game, only winning by 3. I finished up that game with 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 71 yards in the air. And the reason I wanted to run the score up was because we actually dropped to number 5 even after a win. But it's crazy how everything worked out for us in the end, because sitting at number 1 was Washington, who we would be facing for the Pac-12 championship. Now, I'm not saying if we beat them, we would get a shot at the national title, but beating them would help us out a little, right? That's exactly what we needed to happen. We needed to come out here and dominate, and with Washington being number 1 in the nation, this was going to be a tough task. Luckily, the team was out there ready to make things happen, and on 1st and goal from the 3-yard line, I run in to score first, and hopefully that would take some of the air out of Washington. I wanted Washington to know that they were the inferior team. And my next play, I broke what would be a loss of yards and turned it into 12 yards and a first down. First and goal, we have an opportunity to go up by 2 scores, and I see a hole and I knock a couple of kids out as I put 6 back on the board. Caleb Williams on 3rd and 10 makes a crazy throw and catch to Mario for 34 yards, which then motivates me to break off for 18 yards, breaking tackles, showing off my agility. Another one of my rushes gets us down to the 1-yard line, where I take it back to the high school days when you know when I'm this close, I'm going to score. I know clock management was an issue for us in the past games, but this was a totally different situation with this team. Not only that, but I was in a different element. Like, I was blacked out this whole game. I had my eyes dead set on something, and no matter what, I was going to get it. 3rd and 3, I cut up to the open part of the field. Caleb makes an easy throw, and I take us all the way back down to the 3-yard line. But on 4th down, coach gives me the ball, and I just can't capitalize on the field position. Defense was playing a hell of a game, and we get into field position to put 3 points on the board, increasing our lead. And that's how we beat the #1 team in the nation for the Pac-12 championship. The world was in shock because our defense put on a clinic that game, and the offense came through and smacked Washington as well. I finished the game with 186 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Standing behind our coach and with our team as we received that Pac-12 trophy meant a lot, but none of us was prepared for the news we would receive next. Yo, looking at the top 25 poll, and you wouldn't believe it, but we actually went from the #5 spot to the #1 spot, which meant we were actually getting the opportunity to play for the national championship. Not only that, but the votes were in, and guess who won the Heisman? Me. I had won the Heisman, and the awards kept coming on in, bruh. I won the Robert Maxwell Award, the Walter Camp Award, and I don't know his first name, but the Walker Award, all in one season. Major bittersweet moment for me, simply because my father wasn't able to attend the ceremony with my mom and I. I knew what he would tell me, and that was, son, it's not over yet. One more game to solidify yourself as the greatest. And when I tell you I went out and played with that energy, that's exactly what I did. National championship is #1 versus #2, and that #2 was Oklahoma. I came out being the beast that I know I am, and on my first carry, I went off for 17 yards. The very next play, I showed the world what I was really capable of when I broke free for 67 yards, putting us right into the red zone. Immediately after that, I bounced off a kid for a 12-yard run touchdown. I was lit from that point on. I was ultra locked in because on 2nd and 3rd, I really put Oklahoma on notice as I go untouched for a 53-yard touchdown. Bruh, I was playing with so much aggression because if you told me I would be here, especially after last season, I wouldn't see how. In the red zone, and coach calls a passing play. Caleb finds me in a tight spot. I hit a spin and we score again. Listen, I'm blacked out in this game. Even sitting here watching the highlight, it amazes me because on 2nd and 1, I turned out one of the most amazing runs in my career, breaking tackles like they're not even there. And with that play, I break another school record for rushing, and my total had came up to 2,682 yards on the season. To add insult to injury, my next carry, I broke off another huge one, and this time I broke the school record for most rushing yards in one game, as I had rushed for 449 yards at that time. And just like that, all of my dreams had came true. Not only had I won damn near every award a running back could, I won the Heisman, the conference, and now we were going down as the best team in college football. And to my surprise, I could go down as one of the best running backs to ever play at USC. Not to mention, I did all that at over 280 pounds. That game was one for the ages, as I finished with 477 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and 1 receiving touchdown. I didn't know what my future held after this, but what I had coming was going to be a huge surprise to everyone. Most out of the boys. First up is Ray, and LeGoat matched him up with his son, LeVertical James, the twins' granddad. Now, we all see the similarities in Ray and Bert's play, and Bert was definitely going to be a huge influence and impact on Ray's basketball career. And if you haven't figured out by now that Raiden was matched up with Lacrosse, then you got to see the resemblances. Lacrosse and Raiden really went hard at